Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast. I'm here with Olivia Paige at Ascension Healing Sounds, who's my friend and student. And today she is going to help us with getting answers from the Blue Avian Alparbian that I have been channeling, who's one of my guides, by asking questions while I'm in trance. Welcome to 5D Channels and Chats with Rachel Chamness. As a shamanic channel and mentor, I'll be sharing wisdom and healing from higher dimensions through channeling beings of light. You will also hear liquid Reiki shamanic sound healing, channels between intuitives, and discussion on higher dimensional healing and channeling. You'll find links and more in the show notes, so be sure to check them. You can find me at soundwavesheal.com and my Facebook group, 5D Daily Spiritual Healers in Higher Dimensions.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Thanks for asking me these questions since I can't do it.
Yeah.
So for anyone who has not met Alpar before, he is a Blue Avian. They call themselves the Kier. And if you're in my Tag Lightworkers membership, of course, you know a lot about Blue Avians because we've talked to them and attuned to them twice in the past 5 years. But today we thought we'd ask some questions for those who don't know anything about Blue Avian galactical beings and get some answers for you in this 2-part podcast.
So can you tell us what is it like to do a trance channel?
Sure. When you trance channel, basically you're letting the being come into your body and use your voice and sometimes use your whole body, depending on what you're doing. If you're channeling healing, then you would let them come in so you could bring their healing through. If you're just letting them talk, then you're sort of coming out of your body a bit or a lot and letting them sit in your body and speak through you. And that's why when you're a trance channel, you have to know a lot about discernment and safety precautions and only work with beings of the light and things like that. There's a lot of layers to that. But of course, I teach. So that's really important because you're really letting them in. And then you have to really have that layer of comfort with your guide that you're channeling. So Alpar is not one of my main guides, but he is a guide that's been with me for a while.
Okay. And so what does it feel like when they come into your body? Is there like a physical sensation or anything like that?
Yeah, I didn't answer the question. Yes. Okay, so they all feel different. Sometimes I come in, and since I'm leaving my body a bit or a lot, I don't go too far often because I'm very curious and I want to know what they say. But I feel when I'm trancing Alpar, for instance, I feel like I'm floating, like I'm in this sort of higher dimensional float area. I don't know. I just feel floaty and a little bit high. It feels good. So I can't really feel him so much. Sometimes though my posture changes and I feel that weird posture change, like I'm holding myself differently and I can still feel that in and out. You know, when you watch a trance channel, you can kind of see where they're kind of riding that vibrational wave where they go in and out. Sometimes you see more of the channel and sometimes you see more of the being they are channeling. So you can kind of see that go in and out. And it's the same way I can sort of feel myself come into my body a little bit and then go back out and then come back in sometimes. But other times I'm just completely out. Like with Alpar, he can really sit in here. I've channeled him several times. So there's a little more comfort there.
But are you still like fully aware of what's happening and what's going on, or are you just like completely disconnected from the whole process? Because I think some people might be nervous of what it would be like to trans channel and that they don't have any control, like they're giving their control away to this other being. Is that what it's like?
No, no, no. So that is like the main reason why people are so scared to trance channel. They think they have no control. Honestly, it's a lot harder to hold a being in than it is to kick them out. It's very easy to kick them out. It takes only a second, as you know well, because you also
Right.
trance channel. Yeah, it's really easy to kick them out. It's harder to hold them in. So
Yeah.
yeah, at any point, my back hurts or I'm thirsty or I just want to quit, take a break, I can just kick them right out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not a scary experience at all. It's really cool, actually.
It
And
is
because you
cool.
are still very present in it and you are in this observer mode, kind of, it's still feeling their energy. And I know afterwards, I always feel, woo,
Yeah,
feel that, like, yeah, for sure.
lots of grounding afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to let Alpar talk and you can ask the questions.
I'll wait for him to come in and say, like, here, go ahead and ask me your questions, and then I'll start asking.
I am Alpar and I am here.
Hello, Elpar. I'm so excited to be here to get to speak with you and ask you some questions. So, you've been working with Rachel for quite a few years now. And I know one of the last times that she channeled you, there were some things you specifically wanted her to ask you. So, you had mentioned wanting to talk about frequency. Can you tell us what about frequency it was that you wanted to tell us?
It is very important at this time in Ascension that you understand where your frequency is originating from and where you are in your frequency. Do you know when your frequency or vibration is low? When you are needing to make a frequency shift? Do you know when your frequency is more of another entity's than your own? These are very important parts of being a light worker and a channel. If you do not know that your frequency is being lowered because you have an entity in the field or an unwelcomed guest, I guess we could call it, then you need to learn. How do you know that your frequency is not low because of an entity or that your frequency has been lowered and now you need to know why? It doesn't always have to be that there's an entity or a lower vibrational tap in or entity or being who is in your field. It can sometimes be an indication that you are not facing an emotion that has come up for you. When the emotion comes up for you and you push it away because you will deal with it later, that actually gives more power to the emotion. And now you are spending a long time pushing away that feeling, giving it more power, growing it instead of taking a moment and feeling that feeling, understanding where the work needs to be done. Then you can make a plan of when you're going to think and work on this problem. That is part of being human. And this is pretty basic emotional healing that is not taught in other places, in other realms of dimensional spaces, planets, planes, beings, etc. This is a basic third dimensional understanding.
Can can you give more advice or guidance on how you deal with these emotions when they come up? What is the process of dealing with them and like working through them so that they don't become these trapped energies within your field?
The first thing you must do is know that it is normal, it is regular, and do not allow shame or guilt to be an additional feeling you'll have to remove. When you have the emotion, your first step would be to say, I'm having this emotion because I am human, and this is part of my reality. Because everyone has many emotions that they have to work through. So you must accept it. This is part of my mission. This is part of my reality. This is an emotion I'm feeling. And acceptance is very, very important. I accept that's how I feel. Of course, that's how it is felt within me. This is normal for humans. And in that acceptance, it should lessen its power on you. And from there, you can remind yourself again that this is just a journey you will need to take. You could take a moment to journal about it, to think about it, to work it out in your mind. If it's something from the past, remember that you are looking through the lens of the present, meaning that today you know more about this situation than you did yesterday, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. It's different now. And so, of course, you now understand the problem more and can see your, I'm looking for the word. You can see that when this scene occurred with yourself, you didn't know very much about how to deal with it. And so you just did whatever you could. And now, when you look back on it, it seems shameful that you didn't know more. But remember, that's how you learned, was from that place to the place you are now. So then you can have some gratitude for understanding now where you went wrong and seeing that you have learned a great deal. And all of this can be done rather quickly. It comes up. You think, I'm not going into shame. This is a human emotion. This is a human thing that happened. I see now that that is where I learned what I know now as I look back on it, what I'm thinking and feeling. And then you understand what it is you need to work on. What about this situation that I'm thinking of still triggers me? What about it is making me feel badly? Well, now you know that is what you need to work on. So you could write that down for later and come back to it when you have a chance, saying, what is it about this that needs improvement in my life? It is most likely self love, self acceptance. Along these lines is usually where you'll find that, or releasing of fear, trusting in the universe, trusting in your path, trusting in yourself, and also releasing how others see you. Sometimes it may be about feeling not enough, not smart enough, not good enough, and realize that that is a perception which isn't real.
There is a lot of talk about how we need to raise our frequency in order for this ascension to happen. Does that mean that we have to be in a raised vibration at all times in order for the ascension to happen? That seems a little daunting.
If you can manage that, then I don't think you're human. No, of course not. I'm asking you instead to watch and see when your vibration lowers so you can know why. It is
Okay.
never going to be that your vibration is high all the time. And if it is, then I suspect there are things you are not facing in the background, and that will catch up with you. No, you are human. You will go up, you will go down. What I'm asking is that you monitor this and you take that time when it goes low to do something about it, to see it, to know that you cannot go on until it is fixed. If you are a light worker and your vibration is too low to work on others or to help others in your business, then you will have to take the time out to work on your own shadow work. And this is what your life should look like as a light worker, as a spiritual healer or channel. You will be hit with these things and you will need to work on them. That's part of the process. And if that is not what your life looks like, then there is some disconnect between you working on your feelings and your human side and your work. And you'll need to rectify that.
Okay, that's comforting to know. So the blue avians maybe specifically and other beings that are considered higher vibration, do they ever have highs and lows in their vibration? Do you experience that at all? Or is that just a human condition?
It's not the same in other dimensional frequencies. No. No, it is different. Our emotions are not so up and down, which is not just a curse of the 3D human life. It's nice that you have so many feelings that you can cycle through. It's interesting. It makes 3D life interesting. We are a little less like that. We can have these feelings, but they don't come from the chakra system. They don't come from, they don't feel so deeply ingrained in us coming from our heart or our insides. That's how it feels in the human body. I can feel that in this one. But for us, it's more an observance. And we can have feelings of, well, I don't believe that's right, or I don't like that. But it doesn't tank our vibration. It just is an observance and an opinion.
So you mentioned chakras and how for you the feelings don't come from the chakras. Do you still have chakras or because you're so high vibrational, you're just pure light?
We have many different vibrational levels of the cure, the Blue Avians. We are not all the same. A higher frequency, it's more like one chakra. It is a ray of source. And that's more in the higher dimensions, 12th, 13th. A little bit lower, we have more than one center that we receive light from. It's a
Okay.
little bit different than the way humans in the 3D have chakras. As you come to higher frequencies, your chakras will shift.
Okay. And so you asked us to observe to see when we were at a lower frequency. Is our emotions a good indication, or are there other things we need to be aware of?
Emotions are one. You will feel yourself unhappy, not feeling good emotions, feeling crabby, tired, annoyed. These are emotions where it's time to stop what you're doing and check in. Try to breathe through it and do some of the work I mentioned earlier.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about frequency before we move on to the next subject?
No.
Okay, so can you talk to us a little bit about Ascension? You mentioned wanting to speak about Ascension.
Ascension is a process you are each going through yourself. Do not be fooled that ascension is something that happens outside of your own awareness. While it is true that the earth will also ascend, Gaia will ascend, your bodies will ascend, your homes and your land will ascend, and your water. However, it is not something that happens to you outside of your body. It is not one of us, a galactical being, or any other helper who comes to you, magically touches you, and you become ascended. And while we do bring light to the planet to help you build your light body, you still have to do this everyday work of improving yourself, working on your triggers and your emotions, and learning through 3D life. Big learning, such as parenting or marriage, relationships, dealing with 3D bullshit, government, schools, community. All of that is important to work on yourself. And all these things will trigger you. Money, health, these things are here to trigger you. And that will teach you what you need to release. And as you release and work on yourself and begin to learn to work with your helpers and guides, soul guides, spirit guides, these are beings who are here to help you. You should be able to communicate with them. This is all part of the growing of the light body.
Okay, so something that I struggle with, like personally, is this idea where I see a lot of spiritualists out there talking about how, in order to ascend, you have to raise your frequency. But then they also talk about this split, and that like a timeline split. And those of us that have raised our frequency get to ascend, and those of us who haven't do not get to send. And I don't, it's hard for me to accept this concept because to me it feels like a heaven and hell situation. And to me, I feel like if people have goodness in their heart and they want the planet to be a good and happy and peaceful place, don't they deserve, even though they're not aware, maybe they're not doing all the work that, we think that they should be doing, don't they deserve to come to that place of heaven?
Yes. So you are looking at it from several things: duality and also religious trauma. It's not quite like that. Everyone deserves everything. And yet, so many have come to Earth because they want to experience lower frequency vibrations. And their higher self is a high vibrational being. What would it feel like to come to Earth, to make terrible decisions, to feel low frequency, to experience a very low vibrational world where there are wars and there are more and more terrible things happening outside, apocalyptic, all these things. These are unusual happenings in the universe. And some have come to find out what that is. And so, this split, as you call it, it is two worlds within one. And many have come to experience the lower timeline. And within each of these split timelines are millions of timelines. If a person is good in their heart, as you are saying, but they refuse to work on themselves and they choose victim consciousness or other lower vibrational timelines, then they will experience the earth in its worst incarnation. Yet the spirit has come to experience that. And once they are released from the life, they are a high vibrational being again. It's only temporary. It may feel a lifetime to a human, but it is just a blip in the everlasting soul. It is not heaven or hell. It is two unique experiences. Not everyone desires to go to a higher dimension. They've done it a million times already. What would it feel like to not do that?
Okay. How does someone know? Because I do feel like, this concept of the split timeline, even though you've explained it that way, that there is still fear with that. And so people worry that I want to be on this ascension timeline. I want to be in that ascended reality. How do they know whether they're on the ascension timeline or not? Are they allowed to know?
Does the insane person wonder if they are insane? Worry and fear are tricks of the dark. You must just release it. If you are wanting an ascension timeline and you are researching ascension timelines and you are looking at ascension and you are working on yourself, then of course you are on an ascension timeline. Every single person who knows of ascension and is working on it, even if they're coming at it at a totally different way from a religious a religious line, it doesn't always have to be spiritual. You just have to be working on yourself and working on being better, learning, and you will find that timeline. It may be a longer ascension timeline for some, for as you know, there are many, many years ahead to full ascension. There will be completed ascension by 2032. We know this. However, the ifs, whys, and buts and hows in the middle all depend on how many people are holding enough light in their light body to make a change. For instance, it could be sooner for most light workers. If more light workers are filled with light, if more light workers build their light body, then ascension could happen sooner. And there can be some who experience the ascension sooner. However, many of you may be asking for ascension now, but really what you want is a change in the earth that you know. What you would like is a change away from reptilian influence or other low vibrational influence. You would like to break away from that. If you could have some time on this earth where that is not a problem, where there is no money or levels of society, the
Corruption.
yes, then you might enjoy living in your human body on the earth in 3D in a different way. And so there are levels of that in ascension. So don't be too much in a hurry. There's much to experience between here and there.
Okay. I will try. Okay.
Do
Do
you
you
need
need
a
a break?
break? Oh.
Okay.
Need like a gallon of water. Am I still even looking at the camera? Like that way.
I don't know, but you keep getting this, like, yellow light around you, like, whew. I don't know, I keep seeing this light around you.
Really? I
Yeah.
usually see them as a little blue light, like or a blue orb.
No, but it's like you've got this halo, like, this light around you.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He's funny. Thank you for joining me for today's episode. If you are a healer or spiritual entrepreneur, present or future, I'd like to invite you to my Facebook group, 5D Daily Spiritual Healers in Higher Dimensions, where I'll be live for more discussion and questions on Thursdays. I'll put the link in the show notes. I'm Rachel Chamness at Sound Waves Heal.